Hello there. It's been a minute. So far I'm on take 3. Let's see how far that gets. So yeah, today I guess I want to talk about coincidences. Or not so much coincidences as much as, what's that word? Synchronicity. That's the word, sorry for the pause. Where things just happen. Well, things don't just happen. Things happen when we're on the right track. We follow that gut feeling. You know, like, perhaps we should have brushed our hair better before we took this video. And just, you know, knowing that these are the things that help you know that you're on the right track. And I finally hit the road. I've been on the road since Saturday, just heading south, living in Australia. And just being guided by my gut, you know, I guess you'd say scrying, and kind of just going from place to place, you know, not really knowing why, kind of just going with it, you know, especially like all of these weird energies, you know, like all these energies that are going on at the moment, especially like this massive feeling like, you know, we're back in the void stage because of, well, how is it someone put it, that our timelines are now diverging between those that are choosing to stay in the lower frequency so that they can upgrade, and those of us that are choosing to go into the higher frequency so we can go into the next step. And this has been interfering with me a lot. But thankfully, the Oversoul, which always speaks the softest, has always been coming through the loudest, if that makes sense, I guess, if you know what you're looking for. And I've been guided. Yeah, first night, I was guided to this really nice camp spot out in the middle of nowhere. Kind of looked at the map and went, oh, that looks nice. I didn't wind up where I wanted to go. One, because one of the routes to get me there was on a dirt road that was so heavily corrugated it felt like my car was about to be shaken to pieces, so I turned around about 5 minutes down that road. Then I went the other way, and I wanted to go on this uphill fire trail that was, well, it's a fire trail, uphill, steep, recently raining, grassy. My toy SUV, yeah, Mitsubishi Outlander, does okay. Definitely wasn't going to get through it, so I turned back to this spot just above a riverbed on the other side of a bridge, which my gut told me to stop at first, but I kept going. See? And so I turned around and went back to that gorgeous spot. Well, I stayed there and I saw some amazing things. And then on the way out the next morning, it was just gorgeous. Seen my first fox, like, in the wild, in Australia, ever. You know, most of the time you see them on the side of the road. Saw, like, you know, lots of rock wallabies and beautiful birds and stuff like that. And on that journey, I was on my way to Cowra, another rural New South Wales place. Because my Google Maps wasn't working, I just had to go by gut. And so, got to an intersection, and instead of turning right, I thought, and not having my geography right, and no inner voice whatsoever, I kind of just went, okay, I'm going left. I went left. I get my mobile reception back and find out it's the wrong way. So I pulled up into the next big town, filled up with petrol because getting to that first location, gorgeous as it was, winding hills, you know, like winding roads that were like, yeah, having to slow down to like 10K sometimes just to get around them. So I pulled up at this town and I was just going, okay, let's go to Cowra. So this is on the Sunday. And I pulled up there and I found out, you know, about a lot of Australia's history, especially during World War II. About the Japanese POWs that we had there turns out the Japanese, Italians, Koreans, and someone else. I can't remember. And how there was a massive breakout. And I had no idea about any of this stuff. And this was like, I'm like, okay. So I stayed in Cowra. No, I didn't. I drove to Young that night, pulled up at a rest stop, kind of just, called a few people just to say, hey, I'm safe, I'm on the road, here's how things are going. And then, next day I went into Young. And came across a place, after doing, the usual, hardware trips to, upgrade stuff for my car, my setup, because I got a sleeping platform in the back. I kind of looked in around town and found out about this place called Chinaman's Dam, which goes back to 1861, during to some really bad riots and stuff like that. And also gorgeous, just really nice place. And crap. Quick side note. I'd also forgotten to mention the Japanese gardens in Cowra. I went there, zenned out, meditated. It was just so peaceful that I couldn't do anything but. It was like walking meditation. And so I'm in Young, going to Chinaman's Dam. And found out about a lot of the bad stuff that had happened there. And about mining, and how the Chinese were really good at mining, and everyone else really wasn't too happy because their mining techniques, they were getting more than everyone else. So everyone else turned on them. But anyway, that's something you can look up if you're interested. And so I kind of finished that. And that night I decided I'm getting myself a powered sight. $20. Not bad, 20 Australian dollars. And had a shower. Oh my god, that felt good. Hot shower, not just a water bottle full of water, scrubbing yourself down in the cold. Not fun. It's the middle of winter here. And then, next morning, took off. And while I was in Young, one of the caretakers of the camping place had actually told me about a horse called Bill the Bastard. Very interesting story about a massive whaler horse, as they called them. I guess you'd say almost like a draft horse, maybe. 17.1 hands high. And pretty much a decorated war horse from World War One. Gallipoli, first white horse. So I went and visited him when I left Young the next morning, or his monument. I'm travelling down, stopped into a little town to get some lunch, a town called Junee. I'm waiting about 15 minutes for my lunch, so I've just gone down the local park that I've seen, and I just sat down, ruminated, meditated, which I guess I do a lot of on the road. I'm just having really nice experiences just with people, random strangers, I guess. And I get back in the car. I'm driving along and go to Wagga Wagga. Wagga, Wagga. And I kind of stopped in there. Didn't really do much. Kind of just picked up some supplies, more stuff for living in my car and stuff like that I could fit, and then I just left, even though there was that gut feeling that was saying stay here, don't leave. So I just kept driving to where I am now, until I've seen something else. I could turn off, just for a place called The Rock. So I went in that direction and went on this really nice walk. Walker should have maybe gone on another time. So I've come back from that walk after a really nice, climbing to the top of the hill, learning about the Aboriginal law or Indigenous Australian law of that area. Very big cultural significance and a part of the territory for one of the largest nations of the Australian Aboriginal people, the Wiradjuri. Yeah, try saying that 10 times fast. And I got back to my camp spot and I thought, I might stay here. There's that gut feeling. I mean, it started to, not quite churning, but, almost getting there. And so I gone, okay, I got to go back to Wagga Wagga for whatever reason. So I pulled up at this free campsite, which, there's lots of people there. Probably a good share of them being just homeless people living in their tents and caravans and cars and stuff, especially in today's climate. I mean, hey, no judgment anyway. So I've left there this morning, talking to some really nice people that were also on their way somewhere else. I rock up into this town that I've been meaning to come to for 2 days. Holbrook. This is where things get interesting. So I kind of just stop and I see this massive decommissioned submarine that's obviously been pulled apart, or that was, disassembled in Sydney, sent to Holbrook by a steel mill company, and the local council found out about it and wanted to celebrate one of their war heroes. I kind of make it a memorial to him. And what had happened was, this is all coming through. It gets set in the ground in 1997. Anyway, long story short, the cafe that I'm going to, that's right out in front of it, has someone working now. I actually seen him walking to a local supermarket and stuff like that earlier, just as I was getting out of my car. I kind of, there was something about him. Anyway, I go on into the cafe, noticed he's working in there. So he served me my hot chocolate and my breakfast, and we got talking. He's telling me about his job, making a joke after hearing saying, I'm heading south but I don't know where I'm going. And then he said, probably Antarctica, right? And I just laughed, said, funny you should remind me about that. There's actually a story behind that. And he's going, there's some great things coming, but let's talk later. Turns out that when he saw me rocking up, he saw me in my car, or getting out of my car, he could see my aura and shining bright, and he's like, okay, there's a reason why he's here. So he's left me his name and his number, so we could talk wax. I'm not philosophical, wax spiritual, I guess. And so he said, I'm having my break at a certain time, come join me. So we've spoken about life and about our spiritual experiences and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where I felt like I am on the right path. It's like me coming into town this morning, 5k's out of town. There's this feeling, pull over now. So I find this spot, I pull over. I instinctively just close my eyes, drop down into my heart. Next thing I know, I could feel myself being filled with light, and I just mean, kind of like that moment in Iron Man 2, where he creates the new where he creates a new element to power his suit and to power the magnet. And just like that big glow, it's like, wow. So this has happened. And next thing I know, boom, ego kicked in overdrive. It said, started off slow, as if trying to mimic the intuition. It was like, go home, And I'm like, what? To my sisters? To my dad's? Where do I go? But then it started to speed up. Go home, go home, go home, go home, go home. And at that point, I knew that it was the ego speaking, trying to derail me from, well, my path at the moment on my spiritual awakening. Had I followed that fear and not known, I wouldn't have met Mark. Wouldn't have met someone that is experiencing the world the same as me, and to show me that I'm on the right path. Synchronicities aren't coincidences. Coincidences don't actually exist, do they? It's just another name for something that people didn't quite understand. To see that we're on the right path. So I guess after all of that meandering, me spilling about my personal life because I'm so lonely, that follow your gut. It always leads you great places. Because over these last 5 days, I've had fear. I've had that voice telling me to go home. I've had that, just because not being around anyone. At first I was like, yes, I get to be by myself, not feel anyone else's energy. But then the ego kicked in, and I guess the ego needs other people for validation. The ego doesn't want you to spend time on your own. It wants you to depend on it for survival, when your intuition knows exactly what you need and where you need to go. So remember, if something feels like a coincidence, you're on the right path. Well, so speaking of different paths, perhaps in my next video I should talk about this timeline divergence that's going on right now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. Catch you later.